The ugly monster opened its mouth full of sharp teeth. It grabbed the struggling and screaming little boy. The hairless, hideous demon bit the boy's neck and began drinking his blood ferociously. This is the strange thing that happened on the Freyr Demeter. Everything needs to be told from the beginning. 1897, the cargo ship Demeter set sail, carrying a shipment of large wooden crates. After several days of sailing, the ship ran aground on the British coastline. No one knew what had happened on the ship. Search and rescue team members found a captain's diary on the ship. At the end of the diary, there was a line written, "We can only pray that God blesses you, for the gods have abandoned the Demeter." In the stormy, dark night, the search and rescue team attempted to find survivors on the ship. Before long, a monster appeared in the darkness. The entire search and rescue team was slaughtered. The story goes back for weeks earlier. The Demeter arrived at the port of Varna, Bulgaria. The captain's task this time was to transport 50 large wooden crates to London. Before departure, the ship needed to recruit a group of new sailors. The man named Jack was very interested in this. However, Jack was still not selected. He used to be a medical student at the University of Cambridge. Although he has a high degree of education, the requirement for a sailor is that he is strong and good at work. Jack, who was not selected, felt disappointed. He originally wanted to take the opportunity of working and take a boat to London. When a sailor was loading the packed wooden crates onto the ship, he noticed a dragon symbol on one of the boxes. Due to his carelessness, the rope in his hand, and wished them God's protection. After saying that, he gave up the generous reward and insisted on leaving the ship. His unusual behavior puzzled everyone. Due to his withdrawal, Jack, as a substitute sailor, boarded the cargo ship. With everything ready, the Demeter set sail. Toby liked his lifesaver, Jack, very much. He took the initiative to show Jack around the ship. There were some livestock on board the ship. In addition to the crew, Toby's playmates include this big black dog named Huck. There were a total of 5 sailors on this voyage. 1 doctor, 1 cook, 1 deputy, and 1 chief engineer. In addition to the captain, Toby, and Ted, there were a total of 12 people. On the first night, everything went smoothly. The crew members celebrate on the ship. However, the mice behave unusually. They seem to be very afraid of something in the cargo hold and have found a place to hide. On the other hand, the rope that was originally tied to the wooden crate comes loose on its own. Jack is having dinner with the captain. Huck, sensing the anomaly, barks loudly towards the cargo hold. The captain thought there was something wrong with the livestock and asked Toby to go down and check it out. Sure enough, the livestock seemed to be frightened and became anxious. Jack was worried and followed him. After they covered the livestock cages with cloth, the animals finally calmed down. The adjacent room is where the wooden crates are placed. Jack comes over with a lamp to inspect. The wooden crate in front of him is severely tilted. Fresh soil from inside the crate spills onto the floor, forming a small mound. There seems to be something inside the mound. Just as Jack is observing intently, a woman emerges from the mound of soil. Jack quickly rescues the woman. The captain and other crew members hurriedly arrive at the scene upon hearing the news. With the captain's permission, Jack saved the woman. He draws his own blood and transfuses it into the woman's body. What they don't know at this time is, at the moment, the creature hidden in the wooden crate senses the scent of blood. It awakens. It quietly crawls out of the box. The woman's life is saved. The chief engineer said, there is a saying circulating in the maritime community that having a woman on board brings bad luck. The chief engineer used a telescope to observe the situation on the sea. Suddenly, a monster appears in front of the lens. The chief engineer was frightened, but when he looks again, there is nothing on the deck. There are only a few maggots on the deck. The chief engineer came to Jack and asked him if he had seen anyone else. Jack, however, says he didn't see anyone, but the chief engineer felt that there must be something else hidden on the ship. That night, Huck is drawn to a figure in the cabin. It chased all the way. The next day, the chef goes to the cabin to get food. However, he is tripped by something. He raised the lamp and saw Huck's mutilated body on the ground. The livestock kept by the chef in the cabin were also brutally bitten off the neck by a mysterious species. They have all been drained of blood. The sailors start arguing. Some believe it's the consequence of having a woman on board. Some people also think that Huck had a rabies attack and then killed other animals. Sailor Peter has never believed in Jack. He thinks the culprit is probably Jack and one of the smuggled women. However, Peter has no evidence. The chief engineer said, this was not done by humans at all. There is definitely a powerful evil entity hidden on the ship. The next morning, the crew throws the animal carcasses into the sea. Huck's and the animals' gruesome deaths make Toby feel guilty. Jack comforts him. Toby feels a little better. 3 days later, the weather improves. However, the stowaway woman, Anna, doesn't show signs of improvement. Despite Jack's continuous treatment, Toby told Jack that she had said her own name in a daze. Besides that, she always repeats one word, feeding. Jack can't figure out what it means. Losing the livestock, undoubtedly worsens the food shortage on the ship. There are still over 2 weeks left in the entire voyage. However, the crew's morale is increasingly depressed. What's even more puzzling to them is that there isn't even a single mouse in the food cabinet now. The cabin is eerily quiet at night. Peter sits on the deck, writing in his diary. Suddenly, a sound comes from a dark corner. Peter approaches to investigate and finds a creature crawling slowly on the deck. Peter takes out his dagger, intending to get a clearer look, but the creature bites through his throat. He tries to call for help but can't make a sound. The creature climbs onto Peter, breaks his neck, and starts drinking his blood. After daybreak, everyone found Peter's dagger on the boat. The first mate speculates that Peter probably got drunk and fell into the sea, drowning. Jack finds the situation very strange. What happened with the blood on the deck? At that moment, Anna rushes over in panic, saying there is a monster on the ship. She urges everyone to get off the ship quickly. Crazy Anna was regarded as a madman by the crew. You can't believe what a madman says. Moreover, they are already halfway through their voyage. If they give up now, they won't receive any reward. Anna tells Jack, in her hometown, there is a legend. There is a demon living in an ancient castle near the village. People call it Dracula. Dracula sometimes disguises himself as a human to conceal his identity. At night, he transforms into a creature that feeds on blood. The villagers made a deal with Dracula to protect themselves. They have to send him to a new world. Anna is the blood offering from the villagers to Dracula. She wasn't a stowaway, but someone brought onto the ship by Dracula. Anna opens her clothes. Her body is covered in bite marks. Dracula has already consumed the blood of the livestock. If the crew members were also killed by him, then Dracula has become very powerful now. During the night, Dracula's new hunting begins. One crew member is attacked. He manages to crawl up the mast and narrowly survives. If the wound on his neck were any deeper, he would have died. The crew members realized the severity of the situation. Everyone took weapons and started to form a team to inspect every corner of the ship. In the end, they didn't find anything. The sun was about to set. Everyone was afraid and anxious. The chief engineer, who was originally unconscious, suddenly started to twitch. When Toby heard the sound and came to check, the chief engineer was about to get out of bed and walk around. Toby saw the chief engineer's eyeballs turn a strange white color. The chief engineer seemed to have lost his soul. Toby escaped back to his room and locked the door. The chief engineer mechanically banged against the door. He didn't stop even though he was covered in blood. The door was soon smashed into a big hole by the chief engineer's head. Toby banged on the wall and asked for help from the crew outside. Jack and the captain, upon hearing the commotion, quickly rushed to the cabin. It's a pity that they are still a step late. Dracula suddenly appeared. It grabbed Toby and viciously bit his neck. By the time the rescuers arrived, Dracula had already vanished. Weak and helpless, Toby collapsed in a pool of blood. Everyone tied the crazy chief engineer to a post. Strangely, his consciousness was clear. He didn't seem possessed by a vampire, but rather infected by a virus. What surprised everyone was that, when the first ray of sunshine in the morning shines on the deck, and shines on the chief engineer, he screamed in pain, "It's so hot!" Immediately afterwards, his body became bloody under the heat of the sun. In the end, he was burned into a burning man. The first mate couldn't bear to see his comrade suffer, so he pulled the trigger to end his agony. If they want Toby to escape the danger of his life, perhaps only Dracula can do it. Anna knew that Dracula was hiding in a wooden crate, so she and Jack went to the cargo hold to inspect the crates. They noticed a crate with a symbol of a sinister dragon. The crate had a cleverly designed structure. They pressed a switch. The heavy wooden crate opened up. They didn't find Dracula, but discovered his captor. Dracula is out looking for food. Earlier, a sailor didn't want to wait for death on the ship, so he stole a lifeboat and quietly escaped into the sea. Sailors thought they were safe if they left the cargo ship. In the mist, Dracula's voice echoed in Hisser. Dracula, resembling a giant bat, flapped his wings and landed at the bow of the ship. The sailor met his demise amid terrified screams. After the crew members realized the lifeboat was missing, they eventually found the sailor's lifeless body. Poor Toby had still passed away. The tragic deaths of the crew and Toby's grandson left the captain in despair. He said to Jack, "This is a cursed ship. Their destination is not London, but hell." After a simple funeral for Toby, they prepared to cast his body into the sea. At that moment, the captain suddenly said that he had seen the body move. Toby might still be alive. Jack hoped the captain would accept reality. Ignoring the objections, the captain lifted the shroud. In the next moment, Toby's eyes turned white as he lunged at the captain. The moment Toby touched the sunlight, his body burst into flames. The captain standing nearby was also caught in the flames. In the critical moment, everyone pulled the captain away and swiftly sank the body into the sea. The cargo ship was only 1 day away from reaching London. If they let Dracula ashore, the consequences would be even more severe. In order to encourage people, the first mate said that since they can't survive until now, they have a way to deal with the devil. But he was poured cold water on by Anna. The reason Dracula had killed everyone was simply that it didn't want to do so. It was conserving its food supply. Given the current situation, Dracula no longer needed to store food. Tonight, it was highly likely that Dracula would kill everyone on the ship. Therefore, they had to kill Dracula before the ship reached the shore. Night fell. Dracula reappeared, his body fully restored to its optimal state. Before the crew could launch an attack, the last sailor was mercilessly slaughtered by Dracula. Immediately after, the first mate was knocked down by Dracula, crashing into the ship's bottom. Despite breaking his leg, he struggled to stand up. The first mate swung an axe at the ship's hull. He wants to use the shipwreck to die with the devil. However, Dracula quickly grabbed him and drained the blood from his body. When Jack came over, the first mate had already lost all signs of life. The cargo ship started to leak water. The captain took out a crucifix pendant and shouted for the demon to retreat. However, Dracula was not afraid. Eventually, Dracula bit and killed the captain. Only Jack and Anna were left alive on the entire cargo ship. Dracula spread its wings in the rain and let out a piercing roar. Then, it flew to the deck. Jack was clearly no match for the demon. In a moment of danger, Anna shot and hit Dracula. Although the bullet wasn't fatal, it bought Jack some time to escape. The two of them prepared to board a small boat and leave. Unfortunately, Dracula caught Jack again. Its sharp claws left a long gash on his neck. Just as Dracula was about to open its mouth to feast, Anna timely cut the rope on the mast. The fallen mast pinned Dracula's body to the ship. Anna and Jack seized the opportunity to jump into the sea. The battered cargo ship drifted on the sea. The coastline was not far from the cargo ship. Dracula would disappear when the sun rose. But things weren't that simple. Dracula managed to escape before the sun rose. Until dawn, Anna and Jack lay on a piece of wood, swaying. Jack is shocked. Anna's eyes started to change color. It turns out she had already been infected by Dracula. It was because Jack transfused his own blood to Anna that they were able to delay it for a while. Jack wanted to save Anna with his own blood. However, Anna had lost the will to live. She didn't want to live like this forever. After shaking hands with Jack to bid farewell, Anna bravely and calmly faced the sunlight. In the end, Jack became the only survivor of the Demeter and safely arrived in London. People were discussing what happened on the Demeter. Only Jack knew the terrifying and cruel truth. One evening, Jack heard a familiar knocking sound in the bar. When he turned around, he saw Dracula's scepter. Holding him was a man in a cloak. Those horrifying eyes, Jack would never forget. After Dracula disappeared, Jack quickly followed. He swore to kill Dracula and avenge the innocent who died tragically. What would happen to Jack later? The film left a cliffhanger at the end. The movie had a duration of 2 hours. Vampires and legends are portrayed as elegant and deceitful in the writings of authors. However, the movie broke through the previous aesthetic. The director portrayed the vampire as an ugly, bloodthirsty, bat-like creature. He had no intention of glamorizing vampires. A monster is just a monster. There's no need to embellish its image. The film ultimately left a lot of room for imagination for the audience. Will Jack succeed in his revenge in the end? Or will Dracula emerge victorious in the end? If anyone has any thoughts, they can leave a comment in the comment section. Alright, see you next time.